Lane Jonson has been one of the greatest offensive linemen in Philadelphia Eagles history. For more than a decade, he's been a cornerstone of this team and one of the best right tackles in football. But the reality is, Lane Jonson is now 35 years old, and even though he's still playing at an elite level, the Eagles have always been a team that plans ahead in the trenches. So the question becomes, when Lane Jonson eventually retires, who replaces him? There's one prospect in this upcoming draft that might make a lot of sense for the Eagles. Alabama offensive lineman Kadyn Proctor. Lane Jonson was drafted by the Eagles in the first round of the 2013 NFL Draft with the 4th overall pick. Since then, he's been one of the most dominant right tackles in football. Over his career, Lane Jonson has been selected to 5 Pro Bowls, named first team All-Pro twice, and second team All-Pro twice. He's appeared on the NFL Top 100 Players list multiple times, including this past season. And that list is voted on by NFL players themselves, which makes it one of the best indicators of how respected a player is around the league. When you combine the Pro Bowls, the All-Pro selections, and respect from other players, it's clear that Lane Jonson has been one of the premier offensive tackles of his era. One thing the Eagles have consistently done well under Howie Roseman is plan ahead on the offensive line. They drafted Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens while Jason Kelce was in the starting lineup. The Eagles never wait until the problem exists. They draft a replacement early, develop the player, and then when the veteran eventually retires, the next guy is ready to step in. So when you look at Lane Jonson's age and how important that position is, it's reasonable to believe the Eagles could start thinking about that future. One prospect who could fit that plan is Kaden Proctor. Proctor played offensive tackle at Alabama, and physically, he looks exactly the type of player the Eagles like to develop. He's around 6'7", over 350 pounds, which gives him incredible size and power at the line of scrimmage. For a player that big, he actually moves surprisingly well, especially in the run game. When you watch Alabama's offense, you'll see Proctor creating running lanes and controlling defenders with his size and strength. He's still a young player with a lot of upside, but in the right system, with the right coaching, his ceiling could be very high. If the Eagles drafted Proctor, they wouldn't necessarily have to wait years to get him on the field. There's actually a scenario where Proctor could start his career playing right guard. Because of his size and power, he could potentially move inside and help the Eagles' offensive line right away. Then, down the road, once Lane Jonson eventually retires, the Eagles could slide Proctor back outside to right tackle. This would allow the Eagles to develop his technique while still getting immediate value out of the pick. The biggest reason the Eagles prioritize the offensive line so much is simple: protecting the quarterback. If the Eagles want Jalen Hurts to continue playing at a high level for the next 5 years, the offensive line has to remain one of the best units in football. Lane Jonson has been one of the greatest players in Eagles history, one of the best right tackles of his generation, and a massive part of the Eagles' success. Replacing him will not be easy, but Father Time eventually catches everyone. If the Eagles want to keep their offensive line elite for the next decade, they may have to start thinking about the future now. Kaden Proctor could be one of the more interesting options in this upcoming draft. And if the Eagles believe in his development, he might be able to help them now at guard and later at tackle. But the real question is, should the Eagles draft Lane Jonson's replacement now or ride with Lane until the very end? Let me know in the comments.